First of all, I want to highlight the Pew Research Center is one of the best polling organizations in the country. And they have highlighted some of the challenges of surveying Asian Americans. And it's really important to address these at the start. And this is from a piece that George Gao did for the Pew Research Center. One of the things we find is when you see a national survey, they either won't report Asian Americans or they'll report them and say they don't have enough to be significant, which gives you, it's hard to know which of those feels worse, to be left out or treated as insignificant statistically, but that is a problem. Secondly, as you all know, the term Asian American includes a number of nationality groups and doesn't always fit comfortably all into one box. Questionnaires can become quite expensive because of the possibility that there will be the need for language diversity. And very often in the polling arena, you take the easiest route, which is to find other types of polls to do or to draw conclusions about Asian Americans based on very limited data, which can't figure out which one of those is a worse problem. The solution, larger overall samples. So certainly if you have 10,000 people nationwide, you might get a better sample of Asian Americans. Do Asian American only polls or oversample Asian Americans? So these are all classic problems. Now there's one that I would add, which is geographic concentration. Since California has the single largest share of Asian Americans, it is important to think about that in terms of geography before you start doing your polling. And in reality, that's something that we have considered. So how our poll addresses these challenges. Number one, we picked one of the areas of greatest Asian American concentration in the United States, which is the county of Los Angeles. Within the state of California, one of the great areas of the concentration of Asian American population. And working with our partners, we actually interviewed a very large sample, Asian Americans only, 1,608, which you are never going to see in a normal national sample unless you had tens of thousands of people. We offered the survey in multiple languages. And it created a very time-consuming project. And we'll all have a beer about this and laugh about how long it took. There's a trade-off. This is not an election poll. You're not about to hear today whether Donald Trump is going to win. I'll save you time, by the way. The answer is no. But what you will hear is all the things that underlie people's political behavior, which turn out to be, in some ways, more significant than the horse race of who's, oh, by the way, Angelica, you were announced too. Okay, just want to make sure you know. Okay. Just to show you the scope, some numbers I'm sure you already know. Everybody knows by now that Asian Americans are the fastest growing ethnic group in the United States. It's taken a few years for that data to get through to people, but it is definitely in there. In LA County alone, in the last 2 decades, the Asian American population's gone from roughly 925,000 to 1.346 million, which is a fairly, beyond significant increase. That's an actual phenomenon in the community that we really need to be able to measure a little bit more effectively. By national origin, the 4 groups we looked at, Chinese Americans, Japanese Americans, Korean Americans, and Filipino Americans. As you can see, Chinese and Filipino are the 2 largest groups. Korean, third, and Japanese, the smallest, but you'll see has some very interesting characteristics among the 4 groups. Methodology, we conducted this poll over a 3-month period, end of 2015 and beginning of 2016. And again, while it has taken us a long time to get this out to you, fortunately not being an election poll, it stays fresh for a very long time because we're looking at underlying relationships within communities rather than their current voting behavior. Live telephone interviews in 5 Asian languages and English, and weighted, meaning put in line with a good estimate of the actual numbers of groups among registered voters, but it doesn't really change the numbers very much, but it just gets you a little bit closer, and those are the results that we present here.